Hola, ¿cómo está? Welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast, brought to you in part by Bud's Chicken and Seafood. Yeah. Another crazy day here at the radio station. Let's take your kids to work day. And we still got the kids running around. We had to definitely go quarantine them for this one.
These kids are using Jason like a punching bag.
They are just coming up and they just start punching me.
It's almost kind of like it's kind of like the movie scenarios you see where the kids are in. They're like going crazy and they're spraying things all over the place and just going haywire and kicking you in the shin and that.
Well, I think because I've got a Chewbacca jacket on, they think they can beat the shit out of me because
Yeah.
they're beating the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Your son is very strong.
They tackled him in the hall.
They got me on the ground. This is not an act, by the way.
They got him on the ground. Cannon lays on top of him. Magnolia lays on top of Cannon. And then Cannon puts his hands around Jason's mouth and goes, "Be quiet."
What?
I'm screaming for help.
That's
I'm looking
very rapey.
I'm looking for anything.
Good Lord.
Max is Cannon's holding me down. Yeah, then I've got a mouth in my hand. I'm trying to scream, and I look up, and Denny's is filming.
Yeah, it's kind of odd too. When you have kids, the thing that's odd is when your kids do things that you feel like very weird, uncharacteristic of you, and sometimes you're just like, where do they get that from? But sometimes I don't know if it's from inside our house, because there's a lot of influences. You look at kids, and there's me as an influencer, there's my wife, he's got a brother and sister, and he's got a grandma, and those are all the influencers in him. And so there are times that I'm with him and I see most of my influence. He acts a lot like me and he's chill and, lovey, cool, all that kind of stuff. And then I think when he gets to different parts of the family, his brother and sister are really kind of mean to him, and that happens often. They say really awful things to him and they're always picking on him and just really harsh, cutting kind of like things. And, he tries to fight back. It's kind of like the, survival of the fittest. And so you'll see part of that. And I think that influences a little bit of how he is.
Sure, it definitely will.
And then my wife is just, rugged from the rough side of the track on Joliet. And so he's got, a little bit of.
He's got the sweet side of Kev.
Yeah.
With the rough edges of.
The rapey part definitely comes from Kim.
I mean, it wasn't even that way.
They put their hand over your mouth and told you to be quiet.
Yeah, that's alarming.
There's another.
And I see that stuff. And you're like, your own kid does that. You're like, freaks you out. You're like, all right, where's he getting that from?
Yeah, one kid was kind of telling me I'm stupid and they didn't like my questions, and I'm just like, I just want to go. And you don't know what to say because you're in a room full of people, and the kid kind of puts you on the spot, so you look like the dumb fuck, and then you can't say anything because it's not your kid.
I tell you, take your kid to work day is really nice so far.
Yeah, boy, I'm telling you.
Denny's is having a meltdown. He seriously goes.
Because they're in his room.
He goes,
I'm
not trying to be a dick or anything, but when the fuck are these kids going home? Because
I hear
I just want to vape a little bit. I want to swear. I mean, I'm a man that lives in the world of sin. And not to mention, some of these kids are being mean to me.
The kids are coming in and insulting him.
They are. They're insulting me in Denny's.
Well, I got mine on the radio. So.
Yeah, it's true.
Good Lord.
Yeah, the Cannon round was friggin' unbelievable.
It was unbelievable, yeah.
I'm sorry the Mags round wasn't that good.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get.
It's not your fault.
I think she's just too scared to give up the goods.
Well, Cannon, I think, and I don't have kids, so I don't know, but Cannon's at an age where I think he's going to give some stuff. She's at an age where she's thinking shit through. She was too in her head because she's too mature now.
She knows we're going to the mall later. She doesn't want to mess that up.
Yeah.
Like, that's in her head.
And to the people saying, that was weak. All right, you're talking about a kid here, all right? Take it easy on social media.
And like I said, before, our family, our house, it's very cutting. Like, that kind of stuff runs downhill. And, I see it. It starts with with my father-in-law. He's kind of that way. And I think my wife was raised that way, like very cutting, kind of like sense of humor. Like, you better have a thick skin because they're coming at you.
Is your mother-in-law Debbie like that? Because she seems on the surface very sweet.
She's not, but she is a yeller. She's always, you always hear this kind of like, she's got that kind of volume a lot.
Even when she's not mad, there's yelling going on.
Yes, kind of. Yeah, there's always some kind of And it's like, why are we so upset about this?
Dude, welcome to the
Yeah.
Pennington house.
Yeah.
Hey, what do I have for dinner? Fuck you.
So
It's
here
like,
I am, I'm just mellow white guy, yeah. You know, and I'm in this world of insanity, and you got all this craziness going on. And
but between your work life and your family,
It's chaos everywhere.
You've got lunatics all around you.
Yeah, and I just go in all places. I just go and try to find a corner and hide in it. That's kind of it. I just go and just shelter myself from the world. So that's kind of like a little inside view on that. Sid sent us an email. I got to give him a shout out. Sid used to live in Boca, Sid Check, and now he's in Atlanta. He had to move. But
is that the dude that came to our homeless thing?
He came, yes. I believe he came to when we were, feeding.
Clean food.
I know, yeah, he's a really nice dude.
He always has the
Yes.
gadgets. He gave me the thing that I have in my car that I snap my smartphone on. That's what he does. He does product testing, and they'll send him all these products. He gets paid to try this stuff out, and then he writes a review on them.
That's cool.
And so that's a big part of his hobby, and so he always has different little gadgets that he's always handing off to you.
Very, very cool. Very nice. Very always
Yeah.
saying some very positive things.
Yeah. And he said, thank goodness I can listen to the show here in Atlanta. Cannon is quite the kid. Funny. Yes.
My stomach was hurting from laughing.
Yeah, no, they are. I mean, it's the good and the bad of it is, there's some funny people in the house. You're trained very early on. The humor style is mainly cutting, but everybody can pretty much hang.
I think when you have a big family with a lot of siblings, I mean, we weren't as cutting as you.
Yeah.
But we were always fighting, and there was always some type of drama with somebody. Every single day there was the big headline in the Pennington household, some dramatic bullshit that went down.
Yeah, and I don't know. Thankfully, I don't think we so much have like drama and anything. It's like you ought to hear my wife and her mom just talk. It's like they don't even know how. And they have a loving relationship, but it's just like, Cam, where's your hair? It's like, man, she's up in the morning, both of them. Oh. I don't know why. My mother-in-law, Debbie, she wakes up when I do at 2 a.m.
What?
We can't figure it out. I don't know what she does to get ready for work. I don't know.
I think it's an older person thing because Ann does the same. As Ann got older, Ann started waking up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, banging shit around, making omelets at 3:30 in the morning.
Yes. She's up and you're like, why? Like,
with
what
so
is
many
going on?
onions, the whole place reeks of onions.
She doesn't go to work till 1 p.m., so she wakes up like 11 hours early to get ready for work.
That's miserable.
That's
miserable.
But then she comes home at night at like 6:30 and goes right to bed. She's in bed by like 7. Yeah, comes right in, goes right to bed. It's weird. And then she's up at like 2 a.m. It's insane stuff, man. You sit there, like, sit back and like, what? I don't understand what's going on. So Cannon, if you missed that whole segment, go and check it out. You'll probably find some love and enjoyment with that, with Cannon answering the questions. It did get me a text message from a family member. My mom. Just heard Cannon. How much are you drinking?
Oh.
Think about the example you are setting.
Oh, shit. The fallout.
You know, man, there's just some days when you come into work, it just doesn't go your way. Today was one of those days for you.
Yeah, it really is. And I try telling him, like, honestly, like, more than ever, I don't really, I mean, I go out and I have a beer here and there, but I don't hardly ever drink more than 2-3 tops. That's about it.
You go
know?
through cycles too. There are times when you drink a little bit more, as like anybody.
Yeah.
You drink, you go to the hard liquor stuff.
Right.
Maybe you're more stressed out about shit, so you drink a little bit more. I mean, damn it,
Since before break, I've been pretty good. I've been pretty good.
Yeah, you have been. You've definitely dialed it back. I think we all have a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. So now I got to deal with that. Oh boy, yeah. I got to admit, I am not going to win Father of the Year after that segment earlier.
Aww.
Yeah.
My favorite part was after you said, I guess Cannon shot you with a Nerf gun. So what did he do? He punched me. He said you punched him.
Notice your mom's not upset about that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, that
You can
part's
punch
fine.
children.
Yeah.
They deserve
Yeah.
it.
How much are you drinking?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm a drunk, violent father who's also neglectful.
Ann will ask me all the time too about my drinking. She does not. She don't put up with any of that. My mom was the same way. My dad would drink some, but my mom was very against alcohol, and so was Ann. And if we do, she hates drunk girl trivia, hates any kind of drinking talk that we do. I think it might be an old school thing, man.
Yeah, I think too. Like if you're just not a drinker, you're just like, I can't relate, and I don't like it. You know,
Polarizing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, look at that, it's so destructive. What are they doing?
There's one dude in the chat room that is really against pot, and that's one of the few Denny's haters. He's like, oh man, it's pot's for losers.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their thing.
Everybody's got their thing. Absolutely. I got this one from Jason. Said, hey, Smugs, I wanted to congratulate Denny's for completing Plead the Fifth. The funny thing about that segment is that it shows what is uncomfortable for you is not necessarily what is uncomfortable for others.
You're right.
I thought Virginia's questions were weak, but I thought her admission about potentially being interested in selling her panties, which wasn't part of the game, was much more personal and potentially embarrassing. In all honesty, I thought only the bird got some tough questions.
Whatever. Fuck you, dude. I had to grovel to a salesperson for days after mine. You don't think that was tough?
You know, the thing I learned about that
suck
bit,
it.
no matter what you write, after because yours went the best out of anybody's, because you were really, really uncomfortable. At that point, you're going to get people that always say you have weak questions. Even if you have 5 solid
Right.
questions, they're going, this is fucking weak, man.
I don't think any of them were weak.
No, I think everyone had some solid questions thrown at them.
You guys reveal more interesting personal facts in the everyday course of business. You guys all gave flack to Jerby for talking about the fine line between hard-hitting questions the listeners want and questions that cross personal lines for each member of the show. In the end, however, he was proven right. The bit fails because you don't want to piss each other off, and that's the entertainment we trolls want. Love the show. Please don't murder me for my opinion.
I answered completely honest, and I know you guys did too. Mm-hmm. What did they?
I don't think this guy knows us or understands us.
Well, I think, the thing he's talking about is exactly like the things that make you nervous. Like when I have the thing with Cannon and I know that my mom might be listening in Ohio and I know what her hot buttons are. You're right. It's like she gets it like she would sit there and smack me all around all the time as a kid. So that's not something that's a hot button for her.
Nah.
Not a big deal. Yeah. I mean, she would manhandle me all over the place. But yeah, any talking about drinking and they are teetotalers and very religious. I'm hearing that question. I'm like, going, great. If mom's listening, I know here comes the text message.
Because for me, because you guys have no problem talking about relationship stuff, and people are giving me a hard time. Oh, shut the fuck! What's the big deal? Just talk about your relationship. Get over yourself, Jaybird. But for me,
it's so hard.
Those questions are very difficult for me.
And you had never talked about the fact that Macy and Liz were the same person. You never said that on the radio ever.
Never.
That was big.
Because just like you're saying, you're thinking, well, my mom's listening. My whole thing is I don't want to say anything that's going to hurt her feelings. So you're right. Everyone's set at a different level.
And what people don't realize is, a lot of it for us is we know what the hot buttons are for our family members and things outside of work. And the worst thing possible, the only thing that I ever really dread is, when you get home, you're going to have grief from somebody in your family, or you've made them sad, or you've pissed them off, or I'm going to be at a family reunion and my mom's going to be off in the corner talking about my son's an alcoholic and an abusive father. And I'm like, what did I raise?
And he leaves floaters.
And she'll be crying to me. I tried to raise you as a good Christian boy. Why did I fail? And you're like,
you open a beer, go, fuck it.
Yeah, those are the kind of things that people don't realize. So that's why certain questions appear tougher, because in your own personal life, to your perception, your parents may care less if you drink or if you do this or if you do that. And so for you, that's not a hot button for you.
I'd be very interested if the guy or girl who wrote that
Jason.
email complaining, if he listens to the podcast and he can hear me, I would love to hear him write up 5 questions that he thinks would be hard hitting and tough, because I don't.
Worse than the ones we got.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I know I spent a lot of time on coming up. I knew Kevin. I know we all did, and we were trying to not make him lame. So tell us what you wanted to hear. I'd love to hear what he has to say. He won't write them.
If he does, they won't be as good as the ones we got, because the ones we got were really uncomfortable and hard.
For the audience, maybe like, oh, well, I can't believe they're answering this. For us, we'd be like, that's a walk in the park. Be like, okay, that's not a problem at all. So, I mean, we asked each other questions that we knew the other person, knowing each other so well, they would have a hard time. They'd be very uncomfortable having to answer that.
Look, we tried our new bit out. We're trying some shit out.
Yeah. And we do need to get, do you want to hear Suits? Are we going to do him with Plead the Fifth, or is it completely done?
Again, you know what? Why don't you let the people speak?
Yeah, maybe I'll let them write the questions in. If we get 5 good questions for Suits, we'll put them on. If we don't get 5 good questions, we won't.
Put it on the nation. Give us 5 good ones.
Yeah. Heather sent in this email, said, I totally love y'all, and I listen/watch every chance I get, and I recently started watching the podcast versus just listening, and I was just curious as to why Virginia always looks upset. She has a very worried expression on her face whenever the camera focuses on her.
I don't know. Is it time for Botox?
No.
I haven't had Botox since before Baby Rocco, and my brow is furrowed.
I honestly don't think you need Botox, and I think you look great right now. I'm not, no bullshit aside.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if they're like saying you look old. It's just that you look
sometimes
upset or whatever.
You do get a look sometimes if you're not prepared for something, or if Kevin throws something at you, or you just don't it's almost like your confusion face. And I've got that too. I think it's just a little bit more noticeable on you.
Well, I always want to do a good job, so I get really nervous if I don't know what's going on.
You do good.
I just want to make sure that I don't mess anything up. That's always in the back of my head. I always think I'm going to mess something up. So maybe it's just I'm hyper focused on whatever Kevin's saying, so I don't blow it.
You're good at your job. You're awesome.
You're over here petting me.
Yeah, during Magnolia's segment today, Cannon's over here petting me. I'm like, Kevin, what's going on here?
Yeah, somebody said, is he petting Jaybird? Yeah, must love that coat.
Yeah, it's a Wookiee coat.
It is.
He just loves you, man. It's your
and he loves
godson.
Star Wars.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Got this email from Teresa in Jupiter. She said, I don't watch The Bachelor, but this was funny. Corinne on The Ellen Show, Corinne from South Florida, Sunny Island Beach. The Ellen Show had Corinne from The Bachelor, and they were playing Would You Rather, I think, or Who'd You Rather is the bit that they're playing. And
Okay.
she was
talking
laughing.
about Drake here.
Okay. She's laughing about this segment.
Nick or Drake? Oh.
Oh, why? Nick.
No, you were forming a D in your mouth. You had a D in your mouth.
Ellen. Whoa, hey. You had a D in your mouth.
That's something Ellen can't say she's ever had.
I don't know. I thought Ellen dabbled a bit.
I don't know. Maybe she did.
Okay.
And she didn't like it.
Ugh, yeah.
Yuck.
Let me see. Got this email here from Charlene. Says, I'm not sure if Jaybird's ever seen the show The Goldbergs, but it's based on the 80s. I really love the show, and I find myself laughing a lot. The older brother, Barry, on the show kind of reminds me of Jason. Quirky and funny. Just if you ever check it out, pay attention to that dude, Barry.
Yeah,
on the
for
show,
sure.
if you ever watch that. Something else up your alley here. Danielle sent us an email saying, hey, just want to know, Jaybird, if you heard about the Hulk Hogan store. It's going to be opening up in Orlando in a few months.
I have not, brother.
It just says that there's going to be photo opportunities, and I think it'd be so awesome if Hulk Hogan got a picture with him while wearing the No Name Movie Game belt. There's some more information on it. It's an own theme store on International Drive in time for WrestleMania in Orlando. I told you he's got his own store on Clearwater Beach, and we were there staying on Clearwater Beach, and it was right across the street from the place we were staying. And it was cool. It was all like Hulk Hogan memorabilia and stuff like that, the whole store. And we were in there talking to the guy, and he's like, yeah, Hulk was just in here. He was on one of those little, what are those, you stand up, ride him kind of things?
Moped?
Segways?
Segway. He was on a Segway, and he's just riding up down the beach, kind of like promoting the store. I'm like, and we went down to the beach. I missed him somehow. But yeah, so I guess he does that. I guess he actually hangs out at a store because he lives in Clearwater, and he's got his own restaurant that's right there on the bay, right as you're kind of like going from Tampa over to Clearwater. You got to take that waterway, that little road.
Yeah.
And it's right there on the corner, and it's crazy. Jimmy Hart was
Mouth of the
there.
South.
Yeah, Mouth of the South, who was in professional wrestling. Jimmy Hart parks his Cadillac right up front and works in the restaurant.
Wow.
And I turned around, and this little feeble Jimmy Hart was walking behind me with a tray full of potatoes. And I'm like, is that Jimmy Hart carrying potatoes?
Wait,
It was
he's
the
a food
most-
runner?
No, he's not
he
a
was
food
like
runner.
working, like doing kitchen type stuff, and I think he's kind of like more there just like to talk to the
Yeah.
guests and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
He's there for the fans, and he's going to run food as part of it, but he's not there to be a food
He
runner.
doesn't have to run food.
That guy's loaded, man. That guy's got a lot of money.
yeah, he was legit. Like he probably is like a part share owner in the restaurant.
Him and Hulk are
Yeah.
lifetime friends. They've known each other forever.
It's a big setup. Like they got a big stage out there. Like if we were in Tampa Clearwater, it'd be one of the places I want to do one of the live, KVJ shows because there's a good little area there. They probably have some live acts and stuff like that. So.
We actually, I don't know if you were there or not. We interviewed Jimmy Hart when we were in Miami. Him and Brian Knobs, the Nasty Boy, kicked the shit out of me during an interview.
I was there, but I wasn't in the interview for some reason. I had to go do something because you had that hood of that car.
Yes.
Yes.
It was the best video of. I mean, they kicked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And never the video's gone. It never. Like I think it got deleted or something. I know.
Aw,
That was the one thing from Miami I just did not want to delete.
that sucks.
Let me see here from Denard said, Kevin, I happen to be a millennial and I love Air Supply. Grew up listening to them.
Yes.
Yeah, the thing that was kind of crazy when we were in Miami, and I guess, all parts of South Florida are kind of interesting and different, but we were there and they had Easy, which is, kind of like their adult contemporary radio station. And they were telling us, I remember talking to the program director of that station. He was telling me how huge Air Supply is in Miami because for all the old people love them. And like the top stations, some of the top stations in Miami are those easy, older, like demo listening type stuff. Those are kind of the big ones. Those and the Spanish stations seem to do the best in the ratings in Miami. And, yeah, and he said Air Supply, and they're there like every 3 months doing a show.
I turned Peace Train on to them because I was making him watch live videos of them currently as older dudes. Those fuckers still nail it. They sound amazing.
Really?
Yes, they are at a. They sound like they're in the 80s, man.
They play, if you ever want to see them, like Magic City Casino. Like they play there all the time. So.
Yeah, there's some people that they don't lose a step when they get older. Some people do. Tom Petty is another one. Tom Petty sounds like it's 1975.
I think part of it too is like how your songs were written, and in a sense they were smart in that they're written in a lower register. At least like Tom Petty's, a lot of them.
Yeah,
so I think they're probably easier to perform as they get better. Some of these guys that did these songs when they had like the pipes of a 20-year-old, they're trying like, look at this, I'm gonna hit a high note.
They can't do it.
Then when they get to be 50, I can't hit a high note.
Well, that's why it's impressive when you see somebody nail it like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's in their 60s or 70s.
Right. This individual, Officer Helpful, talking about your traffic ticket you got in Georgia, Virginia, whether or not you should pay it.
Yes. What should I do?
Well, they say here, because of what I do, I won't be mentioning my name or where I work, but I am a police officer in the traffic unit in Miami-Dade County. And the reason Virginia is not getting points on her license for running the light is because red light cameras cannot put a specific person behind the wheel. It only knows who the vehicle is registered to. So the ticket is not a moving violation, but a civil one. If she were to run the light in Florida and not pay the ticket, the police agency in which the light was run would send a notification to the Florida DMV and put a hold on her vehicle registration. When she would go to renew her tag for the year, she would simply have to pay for the ticket before the state would release her new registration. Because she ran the light in Georgia, there's a good chance they do not even communicate the information to the Florida DMV, meaning that her registration would not be put on hold. Either way, this is not a moving or criminal violation that would cause her license to be suspended or get points. If she decides not to pay and her registration does get placed on hold, all she has to do is pay it and it'll clear right up. There are usually no additional fees for paying late either.
Oh, roll the dice on that one, Mama.
How about that?
God, that's the exact opposite advice that I got from another person who's also in law enforcement.
I don't know, man. This person that emailed to the show sounds really legit.
I know. So did the other person who sent me a Facebook message who says that they're specifically in the sheriff's office, and they spoke to 3 different people that all said, if you don't pay the ticket, it will be suspended. Your license, not just here in Florida, but Georgia has the power to suspend your license in Florida.
Crazy, huh?
You know what? I'm just going to pay it. I can't live my life in fear of $70 taking me out.
Yeah, figure might as well.
Sometimes that fear keeps you. Oh, it keeps you going though.
I know. It's a lot of money.
Let me see here. A couple other interesting things today. There's one story that kind of jumped out at me. I thought was kind of cool. I don't watch the show, though I hear great things about it. And maybe one day I'll get to This Is Us.
On NBC.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hear a lot of people are really into it.
I watched the first couple episodes, and then I got too busy, but it looked really good.
I don't know anything about it personally, but Chrissy Metz is, I guess, one of the girls on the show.
Okay.
She's a female that is on it. And they're talking about what a cool story she has. She was born right here in South Florida in Homestead, and then moved to Japan for a while. Their parents then grew up in Gainesville with their family and was pretty poor growing up there. Then moved to L.A. to chase her dreams. She lived with friends, lived off of friends. She ate ramen noodles and considered giving up many times because she's like, I'm just not making it. This isn't going to happen. She told Glamour magazine, she said, when I booked This Is Us, I had 81 cents in my bank account.
Wow.
She said I could cry right now just thinking about it. And another thing that gets her emotional is when people tell her that her role as the overweight character Kate inspires them.
Okay, I know exactly who she is. Yeah, she's an overweight character, and the episodes that I saw, she was being pursued by another overweight character, a guy who romantically was interested in her, and she couldn't believe that anybody would even love her because her character was so damaged and overweight and just not happy with herself, and so she was putting up all these walls. And he was slowly just chipping away at them, and it was really emotional to watch, like him break her down a little bit more, break her down because he was a big guy himself too.
Right.
So yeah, it was really good. It was a fun story.
It's kind of interesting trying to build up somebody else's self-esteem when they've completely degraded themselves forever and not give themselves any love. Yeah,
it was very inspiring to watch.
Yeah, I hate inspiring shit.
You like Game of Thrones where they have like dragons and fire and the girl shows her beeve.
Sometimes that's inspiring, though. Seeing a girl's beeve?
That inspires me to do certain things.
Inspires you to touch yourself.
And we learned that today. That's actually saving our lives by jerking off.
Yeah, Dr. Oz wants you to jerk it.
Yeah, apparently so. And I'd hate to let him down.
I probably added a year just this morning.
A couple more things I want to blow your mind with here. Boca Steve sent an email. I've seen a little bit about this. Elon Musk, who's talking about computers in your brain. He's got that car that drives itself.
You love Elon Musk.
Yeah, apparently the fucker's digging tunnels under L.A.
What?
He's going to run all traffic underneath Los Angeles, yeah.
He's creating tunnels?
Yeah, they're going to run traffic underneath,
Was that you that was telling me California's trying to break off the U.S.? Was that you?
Yeah, probably. Well, they're talking about, seceding. It's kind of every now and then they do the poll question, and I think it used to be like 22% of Californians wanted to break off because, the coasts are a lot more liberal. And it's really fascinating, with America. I mean, to me, South Florida is the most fascinating because you can drive literally like 10 minutes and you're in like a different world.
You're in a Deliverance movie.
Well, I mean, but even not even that. It's just, I mean, you go from being like in South America to being like in the Southeast because I mean, this isn't the Southeast, to being in New York. To being in the Midwest.
Or at the beach.
Yeah, and it's just all there. It's not even the topography. It's the people and the interesting mix that we have. And normally the rest of the country is so spread out. The mindset, I've lived in California before, I understand it, is so much different than Kansas City, and I've lived there too. I mean, it's worlds apart and probably separated by figuratively 10 years. Not even messing around. When I was there and the whole time, the thing that I observed, music, style, everything in Kansas City was about 10, because I had just come from California, was about 10 years behind, really. And it was really kind of fascinating. When I first got there, we had a big concert bill and all this kind of stuff. One of those kind of like a Jingle Ball show.
Big
all
rock.
The hottest artists. And they had REO Speedwagon on it. And this was like in the mid to late 90s. And REO Speedwagon hadn't been anything for 10 years. They were the hottest act that we had on the bill. We had everyone with all the top hits. People could care less. It was all about REO Speedwagon.
Wow.
And I'm like, where am I?
So what makes California so much more liberal than even a South Florida? What's the difference? 'Cause I always hear that they're so liberal in California, but how much different and how much more liberal can they get than South Florida?
Well, I think the industry out there with film and all that kind of stuff, it lends itself to be liberal. And I think you've got different influences. Like if you go to San Francisco, there's a lot of Asian influence. There's a lot of Japanese and a lot of Chinese that are in the Chinatown in San Francisco is huge. So you have different influences like that. Probably just the mindset of what founded California going all the way back. There were people that were very progressive, people that were taking chances. They were breaking off from their family. They had open minds and open frontiers. And it probably just kind of all established that way.
Is it more kind of the mindset, come as you are, be who you are, and just do what you want as long as you're not infringing on anybody?
Yeah, and I told you what was fascinating to me was I had heard an interview with the lead singer of Metallica. And, he had lived in San Francisco and now has since moved to Colorado and was talking about, where he was and all that kind of stuff. And he said he had to get out of San Francisco because he said, yes, they are so into independent thinking as long as you think dependently on their independence.
So you have to almost agree with them. If not, then it kind of turns the tide on you.
Absolutely. And they just had riots in Berkeley, California. And it was because it's almost like they want to squash the conservative voice. and it turned violent. And there were some really violent things. And the conservatives, I'm just telling you what they're saying. The conservatives are like going, wait a minute, I thought free speech works both ways.
Right.
It should.
So we're trying to just say, hey, these are our conservative viewpoints. We want to just be able to speak. And you guys are calling us fascists and you're attacking us. And, innocent conservatives were getting maced in the face. And so that is kind of the argument that both sides are having. I'm not siding with either. For anyone who wants to send an email, I'm just letting you know the arguments on both sides of it are saying
You
that
can't have it both ways.
right, and that's
Nobody
what
can.
some conservatives are saying, I mean, my gosh, with the liberals, like, let us speak, and you won't let us speak without calling us names or saying we're this or trying to put us in this thing of saying either we're racist or fascist or whatever when we have an opinion that doesn't agree with you. And that's what the lead singer of Metallica was saying. He's like, I had to get out because if you don't agree with them and their mindset, now all of a sudden you're the demon, So that's kind of it. So they're very liberal. And in a sense, you might just say they have a certain style of thinking that in what they believe.
Now, is that all the way up on the West Coast, all the way up to Oregon, or is that just California?
Oregon seems to take it. I mean, when we were in Portland, I'd never been there. But, when we went to Portland, the feeling that I got from being there and also some of the riots and things that are happening in Portland, I think that's similar. We were talking about a story about a guy that was jogging in Seattle naked. So I think that just the coasts themselves, very liberal. When you go over, same thing with, New York, kind of working your way down. You have, it's a little bit more liberal on at least the New York part than the South Florida part is a lot more liberal.
How odd would that be, though, if California wasn't a state? If any of the states decided to break off, because that's all I've ever known, that would be so weird to me.
It's not going to happen.
I don't see it happening. I mean, I think they were just up to like 35%. It went from like 22 to 35% of Californians were in favor of breaking apart from it. But
It's not that little. That's a lot.
it is. But, if people would go back and look in their history books, right about 1860, they might read up on it and see that, seceding from the Union is always not the best thing to do. So there are headaches that come along with it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but who knows? That's kind of the mindset that's going on.
We're not going to read it, Kev. You might as well just tell us.
Well, Civil War.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tell us what link to watch.
Yeah. And speaking of all that anxiety, just kind of the note, Trump is in town tomorrow.
Okay.
And so traffic and all that kind of stuff. And there's going to be apparently a very large protest. They're doing the Red Cross ball, which kind of stinks in a sense for them because I understand your disagreement with Trump and they're having it at his club. And I think it might be very disruptive. I hope it doesn't affect any of the money or whatever that they're going to be doing for the Red Cross ball because I think the protesters are going to be outside. So many people, it's one of the biggest benefits they do at Mar-a-Lago every year.
It's massive.
So you're going to have a lot of people trying to get over for the protest, a lot of people trying to get there. And it's ultimately, at the end of it all, I mean, I think, they're doing it for a really good cause.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to affect the money, man. I really don't. I think you're going to get a lot of big spenders
I
there.
just hope that people that want to do well and do good for people are not going to be adversely affected by this.
Don't block good stuff because of your protest is basically what you're saying. Don't make it. Yeah.
I hope that that's the case. I hope everybody can have their freedom of speech and do what they want to do, but I hope it doesn't step on the feet or cause any effect to people who are trying to do something good. A couple other things to blow your mind with. Scientists found evidence of an ancient lost continent underneath the Indian Ocean.
Ooh.
That's cool.
I love this shit.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
What did they find? Did it just, break off and fall?
Yeah, well, remember, if you ever, Pangea, if you remember all the way back to elementary geography, it used to just be one huge landmass, and then things started to separate and all that kind of stuff. And used to be part of that whole Pangea, and as things kind of started to separate and all that kind of stuff, it drifted off and then sunk into the ocean. They say it's called Mauritius, they call it, and it's by present-day Madagascar and India. They say the rest of the continent probably sank beneath the sea about 84 million years ago. And they say it's likely part of the gigantic supercontinent, which broke up because of Antarctica, Africa, Australia, and South America kind of taking their shape.
I wonder if they can find any cool shit with this thing.
Well, I doubt it was inhabited or anything like that. It would just be like a shelf and a land mass. It's not like, you would be finding the lost city of Atlantis 84 million years ago. It's not going to be inhabited.
This stuff just blows my mind, man. There's just so many things I wish I knew the answers to.
I hear you, my man.
Gosh.
It's crazy stuff, though.
Basic math.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
Even easy shit. I'd love to know. Yeah, like my friend Mike, who I used to be friends with when I was 8. He just moved away. No one ever heard of him. We thought he was missing. No one ever found. I was like, no, where the fuck was Mike?
What's his last name?
I can't remember.
Well, this is not going to turn out well.
So where is he?
Mike, where are you?
Mike! And another thing, too, I'll blow your mind. A new study found that 2/3 of the wrappers used by fast food restaurants contain chemicals that can cause fertility issues, thyroid problems, developmental issues, and cancer.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
There'll be a new study next week that says, "Oh, never mind. Those wrappers make you a little bit smarter." They don't know. They don't know this shit.
The defender of all things fast food.
Don't you talk about his baby.
It's just another smear campaign. Is what it is.
Well, it just means they'll probably need to change up their packaging again. Remember when I was a kid, Big Macs used to come in this great styrofoam container. And you would flip it over and you'd have your burger on one side. You'd always put your french fries in the other. It made the perfect dinner plate for fast food.
Styrofoam was awesome.
And I remember when they started going to the wrappers, I'm like, no, bring the styrofoam back.
Yeah, there must be something with that styrofoam because when you have a Coke or a Pepsi in a styrofoam cup with crushed ice, it tastes different. It tastes better. I know it's bad for the environment. Send those
It's
emails
too
to
bad
Kevin.
it is because, I love styrofoam. It's the best thing ever.
I know. But
I love eating out of it. I love licking. I used to love chewing on it. I love lighting it on fire. I love just
you can
knowing-
write cool things in it.
Oh my gosh. I am probably responsible for 8% of the ozone being gone. Single-handedly.
I got at least 8% too.
Oh man.
It's not gone completely. I mean, you can still get styrofoam.
No, they sell it at Publix.
Yeah, there's still many places where you can get styrofoam.
Yeah, but now I use it with guilt.
Exactly.
Hate guilt.
It's like eating
Gosh.
chocolate now. People, you can't eat chocolate anymore because remember someone tried to ruin chocolate for us?
A friend of mine, his dad's company that his dad started, they make it.
Really?
They make it.
Wow.
Chocolate?
No, styrofoam.
Oh. Sorry.
Mr. Multi-Track Mind.
You know what you know.
You can tell he's hungry. Bless his heart.
Yeah.
He's been in here thinking about Camille's pizza.
I'm having a rough day. I've been good. I've been good yesterday.
How's the
but
diet going?
It's been going good, but I feel like a very weak man right now. And she's right. I cannot stop thinking about either Bud's Chicken and Seafood or Camille's or any other 9 restaurants that I'm in love with.
They're dancing in his head.
It's tough.
If
Well,
I was to cheat, I would either do Camille's and then because Camille's and Bud's Chicken and Seafood are literally right next to each other.
They're so close.
They're so
they're
close.
blocks away, Kevin.
You can take that bird sauce, honestly, from Bud's and pour it all over the pizza. You can take that sauce and use it for other dishes, as you know, as well.
I used it for some Asian spring rolls,
Uh-huh.
and they were so good. They were better
Yeah, it makes sense.
than the Asian spring roll sauce that you got with your little, at Publix, you know how they give you those little sauce
Okay.
packets of the spring roll sauce?
Right.
I used bird sauce instead. It was so good.
Yeah, I should get you some bird sauce to bring to your family, actually. You should always have that at your house. Your mother-in-law, Cannon, should be eating
okay,
that.
go with that, yeah. All right. I'll have to get them on track here, but good luck. I don't have a lot of influence in my house.
Aw.
Well, thank you all for locking in today. We're out of here. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Wrap up the week. Goodbye.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.